And we're going to be on Dragonshire for our first battle round. So we're going to be seeing teams look to pick up shrines, look to pick up the Dragon Knight, and push with that too. I'm wondering if Country Ken has been kicked in favor of the Volleybot for this game. We'll have to see.
I see him in the lobby, so at this point, we're going to be kind of just going with him at...
I guess he's cool too.
Yeah, Country Ken's not such a bad guy. He did win game number 2 with him, remember? So it wasn't all about the Volleybot. But coming into it, looks like they're going to get for themselves first pick, first ban, and they do not want Azuna Zeratul on their ass.
Zeratul will be banned, as will Jaina on the side of Tempo Storm. So 2 very standard bans here. You mentioned the kind of 4 top heroes, and those are already 2 of them. I have no doubt that we should be seeing a Zagara soon, maybe even, who's the other one? Leoric.
Leoric, yeah. And
Kael'thas not far behind, possibly too.
Now, Kael'thas and Zeratul actually have fallen off pretty heavily in some of the other regions, EU most notably. But here, with the Zeratul ban now already there, Tempo Storm very likely, I want to say, to be picking up a DPS and to support this round, unless they have a very specific idea to go for a double tank, to which in that case, you should be looking at a Leoric right here, and probably their support. But no, it is going to be the Kael'thas. I need to catch up on the draft as well. Tempo Storm, Construction Crew. All right, so Zagara into Kael'thas and Leoric instead. All right, so Tempo doesn't care what heroes they get, but you know it's not going to be about it.
No, I think we've maybe seen the last of our fairy dragon friend here, but we do appreciate Crimson Mist for bringing her out a little bit. Now we've got Construction Crew. I'm not sure why it's Rhett on this thing, but they've got 2 more picks. They've so far got Zagara. They've looked pretty confident with Johanna, so it's possible we could see her be picked up here. Would they go? I'm thinking maybe Johanna or a warrior of some type, and then another damage dealer. Maybe even Vala, knowing the fact that they do seem to prioritize her.
If you do know that, or you have a high suspicion that there's going to be a double warrior coming at you, Vala is a big priority pick right there, because the giant killer coming into it, the Q build, we've actually been seeing a little bit of a variation in terms of you go for the health return on the arrow at level 1. No, that's a lie. You go for the multi-shot range on level 1, and then you go for the extra puncturing shot at level 4. And then into that, you go for your reset on the arrow. So now you're still doing as many shots with the arrow, but you can also now use multi-shot from a little bit of a better range, and that will keep you a lot safer. Either way, Vala has really kind of risen in importance when it comes to smashing some of these double tank combos that we've been seeing again and again and again.
Now, Retribution has picked up Uther, so they will be prioritizing having a support before the bans instead of a warrior. They're also going to get Vala, so there is the Vala. They've got Vala and Zagara, 2 really good sustained damage dealers. With an Uther, it's possible we could see them. They've run a Tyrande before. If she's not banned out here, that could be another pickup for them. Tempo Storm is going to have a ban here, and I'm kind of wondering if they'll focus on banning a warrior, since they've already got 1 and could pick up their next one before Retribution to even get a chance to get that frontline hero.
It's possible, and it is actually going to happen, as you're very aptly calling it, Mr. Gilligan. So with the Mirrodin out and the Leoric already taken, Tempo Storm is basically setting themselves up for an instant Johanna after this. Rhett, or not Rhett, sorry. It's called Rhett in the draft.
I know, it's so confusing.
Retruption, yeah. Construction Crew need to decide, do they want to face off against the Jaina, or do they want to face off against a Malfurion? Because both of those, or the Tyrande, all 3 of those are kind of like the big bans that come to mind on this. Because when you have double warriors, you're lacking damage. What helps you with that damage? Tyrande with the vulnerability. But what happens is with a double warrior, if you get a Malfurion, the Tranquility is such huge value. You got Roots, you got Tranquility, and the other one there, of course, Johanna, is if you don't want to deal up against the Unstoppable to go with Leoric, you have to choose. What of the lesser evils will you face here?
Yeah, they're starting to dip into the time pool, trying to figure that out, what would be the biggest impact, and it looks like it will be Rhaegar. So,
oh, all right.
It seems like they don't want Tempo Storm to be able to have the burst healing that comes from him. It's bursty, but also it does spread. But I think that Tempo was, like you mentioned, more leaning toward the Malfurion anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, at least that's what I see in my mind. If you go for that there, and you can already see straight after Leoric, it's straight to Johanna, straight into Sylvanas. Like those were instant. Like, Tempo Storm is like, all right, like, they just took it because that's their plan. And the Rhaegar band, everybody knows that Tempo Storm absolutely adores Rhaegar. It's Dreadnought's favorite healer. But with a double tank comp, you're going to get so much more value out of a Malfurion because you can't even blow him up either. He's going to sit there in team fights, and even if you try to look at him, he'll just Ice Block Tranquility, and now he's going to get the healing off anyways. At least with a Rhaegar, you can blow him up.
Yeah, and he'd be fantastic versus the damage dealers that Construction Crew have so far because they are more sustaining damage dealers versus like a burst from a Jaina or later on a Kael'thas or even a Zeratul. So I think Malfurion is, the Tempo Storm are totally fine with that Rhaegar ban. They've grabbed the Johanna and Sylvanas like you mentioned. Now Construction Crew have 2 more pickups. They will be looking at who they want for their warrior, and it looks like they will have a Nubarak as their front line. And I'm thinking still they might go into the Tyrande here because we saw it before, but no, they're going to be going a Nubarak Tyrael.
They're basically forced at this point because there's no other real range damage sources. You can do Nazebo. It didn't work out for Crimson Mist whatsoever, and even then, it's not exactly like a high mobile pick, especially with a big diving comp of Johanna, of Leoric, the range from Kael'thas as well. So they're basically forced into this in terms of they need a better front line because they need to protect the Vala at this point. If they had a Nazebo out there, you're not protecting Vala whatsoever. So the double warrior for Construction Crew is kind of what they need to do, and there's the Malfurion as the last pick for Tempo. In terms of the draft, I think Tempo really got a lot of their comfort picks out of this one. The Rhaegar ban, I think, was really off the mark from Construction Crew. And, distributed damage models says that Uther's going to have a heck of a time trying to keep up both of these tanks.
Yeah, and not only that, but if anybody gets into the back, it's Zagara and Vala. If Vala doesn't go with the Siphoning Arrow, she won't really have very much. Like lifesteal or anything like that. She could get blood for blood later on and kind of get some self-sustain, but Tyrael and Anubarak are both very divey front lines, go forward, and that could really spell trouble, especially if they end up getting caught by a root from Malfurion. There's going to be condemns from Johanna too to pull them back in, so the whole idea is that they kind of go in and go back out, and if they can't really do that because of the slows and the condemns and the roots, that's going to be a lot of trouble, like you said, for Uther.
Well, we're going to have to see what is this first match going to be. Dragonshire is going to be the battleground of choice. And coming into this, we saw some really good stuff from Construction Crew, but now they're up against one of the longest lasting, most delivering teams here in North America. Tempo Storm, widely regarded as #1 in a lot of people's books. This is going to be an uphill battle. Hopefully Construction Crew, we saw some great things with Vala, but once more, Country Ken picks up that Vala. So it's just like, even if they don't win, it's going to be a heck of a learning experience for them. How far can they push this team?
Looking at the composition of Tempo Storm, because they do have Kael'thas more late game focused, but then they have the push from Sylvanas, and even to some extent lane push from Johanna and Leoric that can take Night Takes Pawn, and then Skeletal Swing does extra damage to minions. They really balanced that out with the ability to go ahead and take down structures early on. What do you think Construction Crew needs to do versus Tempo Storm to even give themselves a chance?
Well, all of Tempo Storm is just laughing at something. I don't actually know what's going on. Anyways, Construction Crew with this comp, it feels like that they just need to hunker down on a point and try to push out a separate lane. Zagara and Anubarak put together, they have a lot of summonables that can kind of just push and push and push, right? So as we load into this game, I would want to see if they're going to try to use that to their advantage to push forward. Luther and Vala are probably going to have to try to stick together as much as they can. Tyrael is probably just going to be stuck in a lane soaking. But if we can get like Zagara, Vala, Zagara, Anubarak together with the Luther, you do have actually a really good chance of pushing. And you're going to need that push because you know that Tempo Storm Sylvanas is going to be trying to push just as hard.
Yeah, and Zagara will also be able to give them some vision with the creep. That's something that Tempo, they could pick up the scouting drone, but it is a very nice thing to have on this battleground, especially when you're in the bottom lane, which Zagara tends to be because there's all of those bushes on the way down from mid to bot, and that's a lot of potential for some ganks to come in through. But we are ready to introduce these teams.
On the left-hand side, the Kings of the Storm, Well, maybe not so much. They came second, actually, in that tournament. But Arthalon, Dreadnought, Zuna, Soldier, and KO. The veritable undefeatable roster, except for Maelstrom at this point. They are Tempo Storm, and they're coming out strong with this draft.
And our winners in the last match, can they bring it to Tempo Storm? We've got Construction Crew with Country Kin, TJ USA, Retrubtion, Sin, and FromGore playing third.
All right, so what kind of collapses are we going to see? A lot of the time, you see teams kind of just rushing towards this triangle area, and this does not seem to be any kind of big exception. The Moonfire lands right there on top of DJ, but a lot of the stuns going out. Zagara is just going to not really connect. Big roots going out from Gore too far forward, and it looks like he's going to drop first here as the first takedown of the match.
First blood will be in favor of Tempo Storm, and now they're going to go out to their lanes just a little bit, start soaking. It looks like Leoric will be heading up top. We're going to have the rotation from Tempo Storm between mid and bottom, looking to push Construction Crew back as much as they possibly can, keep them back in the lanes, not really getting out there, getting any sort of push, as they really want to be in control of this battleground.
All right, Zagara looks like she's going to be left to her own devices. Top, I'm just going to call him Retribution. Screw it. Okay. In the bottom with FromGore. He does have the Vala there as well, so that's going to be their kind of big push comp. But so far, it looks like we're ping-ponging back and forth between some of these lanes. Tempo Storm is just going to attempt to keep putting up the four-man pressure. I mean, between the Malfurion Roots and the Johanna Condemn, if they catch anybody with no escapes, it's going to be GG for them this early on. So far, they haven't really been able to do it since the first takedown on Uther, but going back and forth, they are maintaining that experience.
Zuna is now throwing a ton of pressure onto this bottom tower as it's already halfway down. She did pick up the barbed shot, so we're going to have Sylvanas focusing more on that pushing power, trying to get as much done as they possibly can, and that's really going to come in handy later on when they can get a Dragon Knight to either split push or push along with it.
So Arthalon into this top, you see him kind of coming going from top to mid. That mighty swing of his is just ridiculous. His wave clear is absolutely insane. And we have a little bit of a lane swap. It looks like Sin is now going to be coming mid, Nubarak into the top. But Arthalon, as I said, he can just go up there, clean wave, comes down, clean wave. He's ping-ponging for those reanimation stacks. And that is just going to pay off very nicely in case he ever does die. By reducing that death timer just by that much more. So the ping pong strategy working out well, but they've given up their shrines. But with such a presence mid, I don't think they're in any danger of losing a dragon.
Yeah, it's clear that Construction Crew is way more focused on having the shrines, trying to pick up the Dragon Knight, whereas Tempo Storm are very content, comfortable with the idea of not necessarily having the shrines, but having a good presence in mid and being able to get a bigger push in this early game, as they've already taken down one tower. Now both shrines are all of a sudden in Tempo Storm's favor. 3 heroes here from Construction Crew, but can they stop Dreadnought picking this up as Vala is going to go down?
Vala losing her life up against Zuna into the bottom lane, just couldn't keep up the pressure, and now it looks like Dreadnought, he's going to let his dreams not just be dreams and becomes a dragon himself. The pressure mid has just absolutely been mounting, and now they are going to be up an entire level over Construction Crew. Arthalon still bouncing back and forth between mid and top, but Dragonaut's going to come down here, and Zuna already paving the way. No towers to be found in this bottom lane anymore. Zuna just disabling them all. Country Ken is going to be here. It looks like Retribution is going to be in the bottom as well, but still a level and a bit. Man, we could actually even be 2 levels by the end of this. Gilly?
Yeah, I mentioned that split push potential from Zuna, and he had already taken down one tower, put serious damage on another one by the time the dragon even got there. With an early Dragon Knight, you really just want to try to focus on getting as ahead in experience for taking out towers you possibly can, and this is a fantastic one. Dreadnought is still completely healthy on it as the Dragon Knight falls, and yet they've taken out 4 towers already. And on top, there's another one just from Arthalon's push that is down to half health.
Yeah, down to half health. It's not quite the 2-level lead I was expecting. Didn't really see Dreadnought kind of backing off as early as he did, but at the same time, they do got those level 7s coming out. And we haven't really talked a lot about talents as we go back and forth. Something to note here is that Zuna on Sylvanas, he actually plays a little bit differently than a lot of quick matcher pubbers. He has Barb Shot level 1, Into Envenom, and then Unstable Poison. He actually usually has the Shade form at level 7, but it looks like Unstable kind of won out this time.
Yeah, that's really going to help them try to get lanes pushed as much as possible. They just want to put as much pressure as they can on the lanes, and you can tell both top and bottom are very pushed far forward, allowing them to feel confident in going down and picking up the bruisers in bottom already. I also noticed that the Leoric is favoring the Wraithwalk a little bit, hitting that hardened bones, taking less damage with it. And a Condemn goes down onto Sin. Will he be able to get away? No, Zagara will fall.
Yep, that Envenom. I saw that last little bit of a tick at the end. And now with 2 sets of Mercenaries pushing here for Tempo Storm, there's the level 9 I was looking for by the end of the Dragon. And that's going to be the first fort here as well. The pushing of pressure of the Sylvana is augmented by these double Mercs. Like, you're going to need a full 5-man defense down here. And that means you're going to be losing out Soak. And you're barely going to be losing out pretty much every single race from here on out. Because we're about to hit level 10, Gilly.
Yep, there is the tower falling. Level 10 is picked up, and immediately heroic abilities are coming into the fray. Wailing Arrow, Tranquility, Blessed Shield, Phoenix, which is already out and zoning. Sin will get taken out by the Wailing Arrow, and once again, Zagara is down. Leoric still considering his heroic ability.
Yeah, Soldier, no fear, just right there into the front. TJ into the back. He's going to try to jump on top of KO, just gets thrown up into the air with the gravity lapse, but we still got Mercs and Zuna still pushing in. Is that an unstoppable Leoric coming in? Wraith walks behind, uses the March of the Black King, gets the takedown, and just keep. Could this be a game?
I don't know. I'm scared. Country Kid is going to go down, and Nubarak is down too. The Leoric Wraith walked in from the middle and got in to behind everyone else, and then did the March of the Black King.
So,
that is terrible.
Came in like this, and then opened up and came straight down. Little cheeky guy right there, but keep down. 3 levels up. We still have that heroic advantage going the way of Tempo Storm. And look at this, Shrines are already back up. Nobody in the mid to kind of capitalize on it as quick as they can, because we do actually have 2 back in base. But still, I mean, the pressure is mounting. Construction Crew not looking nearly as good as they did last round.
Arthlon getting caught here just a bit, but he's got that Wraith Walk and see he's barely taking damage while he's in it. And with the extended range that he did pick up at Lingering Apparition at 7, he was able to go all the way back near to his gate. So those 2 talents together are really good. There is the Blessed Shield, and they're going to go into a Gravity Lapse on top of a Nubarak, who will put Burrow Charge away for now. He's going to get hit by the shield player, but won't be taken out. Good job getting away from that CC train from Tempo Storm.
Yeah, and here's the positioning that they need. Soldier this time is going to be the guy to jump into the Dragon suit. And number 2, well on its way down this middle lane into this fort. No, they're going to go for core. Are they actually going for core?
They're going to go for core. Zuna is going to follow in line with the rest of them. And Sin is in a lot of trouble here, taking damage from Zuna, who's going to throw out the Shadow Dagger. Is so low, does get hit by the Flame Breath, but will be able to survive thanks to a heal from Frumgore. Here comes Arthalon into back behind. I think we'll see the March of the Black King to follow, as Sin is going to get hit by Wailing Arrow. There is the Envenom too. Will he go down? He does make it back to base just in time.
Sanctification at the end of it there, but the stun is good enough. TJ not going to get any value out of it. Now they're jumping on top of KO. Arthalon in the back. Soldier losing his hit points very quickly, but the core already down to 10%, and we're going to have a game quicker than our first set of pauses today. 7:57 for the win. Woo! Got one. They took a takedown. It's all about the little victories right there, Construction Crew. Congratulations. You won in my heart. But the game says Tempo Storm is now going to be up 1-0.
Wow.
Wow.
All right,
yep.
well, the push from Zuna on Sylvanas for Tempo Storm was just incredible. They had lane pushers in other lanes too, like Leoric was doing a fantastic job of holding both top and sometimes mid too. But the fact that they were able to just push and get some of those early structures down, they used the Dragon Knights to take down them too, and get just such a huge pickup with that bottom fort very early on. They had such a great lane presence, and they were able to capitalize on it in a very, very quick victory.
7:57 might be the record of the fastest competitive game I've casted since HPL finals, I think, where we had like the double cheese strat where everybody goes global, Abbott their tunnels in, and we still had like double clones ready. I think this is a new record. Not to put down Construction Crew at all. It's not the intent. It's just absolutely mind-blowing that Tempo Storm sees these opportunities to win, and they just seize them. It is a skill every team envies at this point. And 7:57, 1-0 Tempo Storm. I mean, that's just how it's going to go down, Digilly.
I have to applaud Construction Crew for or at least the member who said who got one, staying positive, realizing that yes, you are up against Tempo Storm, but you can still have fun, you can still learn and being happy with those small victories, like you said.
Hey, if I got up against Tempo Storm in Hero League and I killed one of them, I'd be pretty happy with myself as well. I mean, like, these are the kings, right? Everybody looks up to them. And they are actually the kings of the Storm, because I got my tournaments mixed up. They did win King of the Storm, but they lost the Town Hall Heroes Invitational. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kings of the Storm.
It's all Jake. Like, it all just runs together after a while.
It is. Kings of the Storm is when they got dropped into the lower bracket by Complexity and came back and won 2 best of 3s versus Complexity.
Yep. Good times. Good times. All right, so Gilly Wade and FCJ, we're going to set up here for game number 2. Hopefully, Construction Crew, again, like, if they learn a little bit from here and they go forward, they're drafting. You know, Tempo Storm definitely won it out a little bit, but there's nothing really the Construction Crew kind of did wrong, per se, right there. But except the ban on Rhaegar. Maybe this time they'll get a better ban, and maybe this time we'll have a little bit of a better game. But we'll find out when we return, because we are going to set up right now. Gilly Wade and FCJ, don't go anywhere. The road to BlizzCon August Open will continue.